Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the book formatting masterclass organized by Bookney. My name is Esther Inewerume Odafe Ohaka, and I am your trainer for today. Please pardon any baby cooings you hear tonight because my daughter is actually with me and she's refusing to leave my side. So occasionally you might hear baby talk in the background, and I'll try as much as possible to minimize that. All right, so why are you here tonight? Before I say why I'm here tonight, let me just give a brief introduction of myself and why I'm actually qualified to teach you this book formatting. So I have worked as a nonfiction ghostwriter and book editor since 2018, and formatting books for publishing or making books ready for publishing is part of what I do for my clients. Some clients actually hire me simply because I know how to format books for publishing and they don't want to pay that extra money. Now, please take note that book formatting is a totally different job from book editing and ghostwriting. It's totally different. Book formatting is also not the same as interior designing of a book, right? So what I'm going to teach you now is book formatting. It is not same as interior designing of the book. For interior designing, you need specific software. There's certain software you need to be able to create beautiful designs for the interior of a book. Right. So I've worked as a non-fiction book editor and ghostwriter since 2018, and formatting books is something I breathe when I work for my clients, when I do my clients' work. So it's something I'm very used to, and it's something I've done over the years. And as the co-founder of Bookney, what better person is there to teach you this course? So I'm actually here tonight to learn how to format your books. If you're an author, this is going to save you a lot of money if you're doing it yourself instead of hiring someone. And if you want to start this as a business, you can also make money from formatting books for your clients. So let me also introduce what Bookney is about, what we do, and the kind of classes we organize. So Bookney used to be a book publishing and reading platform. We had an app where readers would read books that authors have published. And it was running well, and we had lots of reviews and testimonials. But due to some maintenance issues, we had to stop that aspect of Bookney. So right now, we are focusing on helping people like you and writers become actual authors by helping them get the right book cover design or artwork for their children's books, art illustrations for maybe comic books, or for just people who like to use artworks for rom-com novels or contemporary romance novels. So we do artwork for all genres of book writing, and we also do normal book cover designing. So that is what Bookney is focused on right now. We are also looking to branch into book marketing for authors, where we help authors push out their books to people who actually like those kind of books. We are working towards doing that, and more information will be passed out. So if you want to learn more about that, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bookney. Just at Bookney, you'll find us on Instagram and Facebook. We also host a couple of trainings to equip authors with the right tools to write great books and also market their books. We know how frustrating it is to put in so much effort in writing a book and then not get any returns. So what we do is give authors the right tools through our training programs and our master classes to equip them. We've organized a couple of classes. You can find some on our YouTube channel at Bookney and just catch up on them. So now that that's said, and I've introduced who I am and what Bookney is about, I'm just going to do a little housekeeping and just give you the breakdown of the rules of this class. So, like I said in the announcement, after every module, we are going to go on a 5-minute break so that we can recalibrate and prepare for the next module. What we're actually learning today is quite a lot. So it is necessary for us to take a breather, catch up on what we've learned, internalize it, and see how we can move on to the next module with a clear and settled mind. This 5-minute break will also help you come up with questions that you may need to ask in the course of the module you have learned. So now that that is out of the way, let's get right into it. Oh, also, before I forget, there is not going to be the full replay available to everyone. You're going to get a significant part of this training as a replay on our YouTube channel. However, much of the bulk of this training is not going to be made available for free. If you want to get that along with the templates for non-fiction book and for fiction book, then you can send us a DM on Instagram at Bookney or email us at bookneystaff@gmail.com. So now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. What are you going to learn today? You're going to learn how to set up the preliminary pages of your non-fiction book and how to arrange them properly. Your preliminary pages are also called your book's front matter. These are things that you have in a book before the actual first chapter of your book. So from the title page down to introduction is a preliminary page. Next, we're also going to learn how to create menus for your non-fiction book. We're going to learn how to create a clickable table of content. And this is very important if you are planning to publish an ebook. It is very important to have clickable table of content so that your readers will have a nice flow when reading the book and they can easily just go to where they stopped without having to scroll through out the whole document. Next, I'm also going to learn the right margin, the right line spacing, and the right page layout for your non-fiction book. And then we're going to go properly into the whole content formatting, which includes knowing how to format the right heading, subheading, bullet points, quotes, and images in your book. Finally, you're also going to learn how to number your book properly. People have seen all manner of book numbering, and trust me, many people are getting it wrong. There is a specific way you number your book correctly, and I'm going to be showing you all that. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump right into the meat of the matter. So this is a made-up title, and we're going to be using Google Docs for this training. Google Docs is the platform I use to format my books. And if I need anything else, any other extra thing, I go to my Microsoft Word. But I find that every single thing I need is already in Google Docs. And so I don't need to use my Microsoft Word for any other thing. All right, I'm just going to take a sip of water and get back to you. All right, so now that that's done, let's get right into the meat of the matter. So the first page you are seeing here on my screen is called the title page. Now, this title page comprises the title of your book, the subtitle, if any, and the author name, which you can see here. All right, that's the very first page of your non-fiction book. So I made up this title and I made up the subtitle just to give you guys an example. And this is how to format your title. So I'm going to highlight this. This is already highlighted. This is the title of my book. I'm going to come right here into the menu bar. What you have here is called a menu bar. This is where you're going to be doing most of the work in your book formatting. This is actually what you need to get your book formatted. So I'm going to come to this column here where you have styles, and I'll click on it. We are going to see a couple of options: normal text, title, subtitle, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. We are going to click on title because that's actually what we want to use. I've already done that, so I'm not going to be clicking it again. Now that it's in title, I like to make my title in capital letters. Every single letter here is going to be in capital letter, and then I'll also make sure to bolden it. Next thing is to make the font size big. For non-fiction books, it is advisable to use the regular Times New Roman or any similar fonts. This is because when publishing on sites like Amazon, the kind of fonts you use will also determine the number of pages you have, including the font size and the line spacing. And when you're publishing an ebook on Amazon, for instance, Amazon does not want your book to be too bulky if it doesn't have to be bulky, especially when they have to print your book. Also, even if it's an ebook, there's a way to calculate people who read per page, and so they might end up rejecting your work if they find it unnecessarily bulky with too much space. So you want to avoid that. Now, the title of my book is capitalized, it's in bold, and it's in title. We're going to go into the next formatting, which is the alignment. My alignment is in the center because I want my book title to be in the center. Next thing I will do, this is my center here, center align. Next thing is the line spacing. I always use 1.5 and I always add a space after the paragraph. If I click on this, you will see that the space will reduce. But it is always important to give adequate space between your work, right? So I have it in the comments here. Title, title style, which is the style here, bold, font 33, centered, 0 margin, space added after paragraph, and line spacing 1.5. Let me show you that there is 0 margin here. You go to format, which is just above the menu bar. Click on align and indent and indentation options, and you're going to see 0. There is no special indents. There is no margin there. Next we'll go to is the subtitle. Now I like to put my subtitle all in caps, make the font size smaller than the title, and then for the style I click on subtitle because it is actually a subtitle, and then I do something extra by putting the subtitle in italics. The same thing, center aligned, same line spacing. I reduce the line spacing actually because if I should make it 1.5, it looks too spacious. So whatever looks good to your eyes is what you should use. I like this because everything is compact. I like it at 1.15. And then I also added space after this paragraph. Now, if you also notice here, I left a lot of space from the beginning of this page to where the title is. I left enough space there. You can add more space if you want to your satisfaction. And then we're going to go to the author name. So for the author name, I'm going to take this to center alignment. For the author name, everything is in capital letters. It's in normal text for the style, normal text. You don't use any other type of text. And then center alignment, the same. Even if I make it 1.15, doesn't really make any difference. And then adding space after paragraph is not necessary because it's the last word on this particular page. And so now that our title page is done, the next thing we would go to is the copyright page. The copyright page just contains the copyright disclaimer. It's okay. The year the book was published and the name of the author. All right, so that's what we have. Sorry, please excuse me. Now that we have the copyright statements done, if you are writing a religious book, it is very important and you should know that you need to quote maybe passages from the Bible or passages from the Quran or whatever religious book you use. You need to know that those books are not your intellectual property. You are copying those Bible texts or quote from the Quran or scriptures from the Bible. It is not your intellectual property. You are not the one who wrote the Bible. You are not the one who wrote the Quran. So whenever you are taking texts, taking scriptures or quotes from any religious book, make sure that you add the copyright statement for that particular version of the Bible you are using. For instance, I'm using Bible here because I'm a Christian, and the copyright statement I have is for the ESV version of the Bible. There are so many Bible versions, and each Bible version has its copyright statement. So make sure that you are using the right copyright statement for the version of the Bible you have quoted in your book. All right, so as you can see here, the copyright statement for the ESV Bible is here. On this same copyright page is where you have your ISBN, which is your International Standard Book Number, which is what every book is recognized with. This is what gives you actual credence that you have a book and that your book is recognized by your country's national library. Now, if you're writing an ebook, getting an ISBN is not compulsory. But if you're writing paperback, you are writing a book that you want to print, you must get an ISBN. All right. So after the ISBN, the next thing you have is your publisher details, where your book was printed, who designed the book cover, and if any, if you feel it necessary, if it's a children's book, who illustrated the children's book or who did the interior design. Now, the interior designing and the book cover design information is not compulsory. It's optional. You can choose to add it. However, it is very important to add the publisher details. Even if you are a self-published author and you publish the book yourself, it is important to find a way to include yourself as the publisher. All right? Or find a company that you can use as a publisher. But if you don't have and there's no way to work around it, just leave it. It is not actually compulsory. Now, there are also other disclaimers for specific books like cookbooks, medical books, educational books, right? And if you want to see those other disclaimers, you're going to click on this link here. Don't worry, I'll be sending this to you guys if you show interest at the end of the class. Everything you see here will be sent to you, and all you need to do is just copy and paste. Just copy your work and paste it if you're interested in getting this template. All right, so the next thing on your preliminary page is the dedication. Now, please know that dedication is not actually compulsory. You don't have to have a dedication in your book. But just in case you want to have a dedication in your book, after your title page, then your copyright page, the next page is your dedication page. Now, I like to make every heading of my book in all capital letters, and I did just that with the dedication. If you can see here, on that style, I used heading 1 because this is the heading of another page. It is not the title of my book, neither is it the subtitle. So the most appropriate thing to use is the heading, right? Now that it's in heading style, I'm still using my Times New Roman, but I'm using font 16. Font 16 because I want it to be bigger than the actual text in my book. So if I'm typing with Times New Roman font 12, I don't want the heading of that page or my chapter title to be the same font as the actual content. So that's why I'm using 16. Excuse me. You can use from 14 to 18, depending on whatever you want. For me, I love 16. 16 is the sweet spot for me. Now, your book dedication is also the same as the formatting for others. Is 1.5. You add space after paragraph. It's central aligned from 16. If you like, you can make it bold. If you like, you can leave it like this. I like to leave mine like this. And then the style, like I said, is in heading. Now, your dedication, let me just define it to you. Your dedication is a short acknowledgement of a person or a group of people, and it is straight to the point and recognizes their support of your work or their inspiration for your writing journey. So now that you've understood what a dedication is, an example would be to Esther, or to my beloved wife Esther, to my beloved daughter Dawn, thank you for believing in me, or to every woman, like I said, a group of people, and you dedicate your book to them. And so one thing you should know is that the dedication of your book should be in line, preferably, with the message of your book. If you're writing a book about women empowerment, it is this second dedication is very fitting, right? So after your dedication page, The next page is the epigraph. Now, an epigraph is also not compulsory, and an epigraph could be a poem, a quote from the Bible, or a popular quote, or a snippet from even this book you are writing that you can use to teach your readers of what is to come, what they should expect in your book. But it must provide value. You're not just going to take anything from anywhere and post it. You should be able to provide value, and it should be in line with the theme or message of your book. So something I forgot to mention is under your dedication, you can see a little space here. And that space, I'm just going to highlight it and show you the size of that space. That space is in 1.5, and I'm going to add space after paragraph just to give more head space between the text and the heading. So now that you've understood that and you've seen what an epigraph is, it's the same formatting. I'm going to do that same spacing. Sorry. Just going to highlight it. So I'm going to highlight it, increase the spacing to 1.5, and add space after paragraph just to give it enough room, and then I can just type my text, right? So I would prefer to make this in the middle as well, because an epigraph is usually short. It's nothing too big. But whatever you decide to use is fine. So this page where you have XYZ is called your marketing page, right? I cannot label it marketing page because it is not necessary to label it. Now, this page is where you actually market and showcase other works you have, or other books you've written, or the services you render as an author. Okay, so this marketing page is where you can include reviews from past clients, testimonials, picture testimonials, preferably pictures of your book, links to your social media, links to where people can get your book. Basically, just see it as a page in a newspaper where you get to advertise your other books, your other services, or your other products for free. Use it wisely, but don't overshoot it. Don't make it too long. Personally, I would advise that you don't make your marketing page more than 2 pages. If it's more than 2 pages, you begin to make the readers feel like all you came to do is market your books. They're not actually getting to the meat of the matter. So just make your marketing spot on, power packed, and at the same time concise. Okay. So after the marketing page, the next page is your table of contents. Now I'm going to throw more light on this table of contents. Please, if I forget, kindly remind me in the comments, and I'm going to go back to the table of contents because okay, let me just do that now since I already have everything I need. So before I show you how to create a clickable table of contents, or the different types of table of contents that we have, I want you to look at the left side of my screen where you have all this here. It's called an outline. This same outline is what is also called the menu. Okay. It is where you can see every single thing that is in this book. And the reason you can see it is because of these styles here. Whenever you click a style that is not a normal text, it is going to appear here. Okay. So that's why you have this here. And it is from these styles that you can actually judge what your table of contents will contain. So I'm just going to put that same space here, make it 1.5, add space. So now we are learning how to create a clickable table of contents. I'm just going to justify it. So let's get to it. You click on insert, and then you scroll down to table of contents, and then you see 3 options. If you are writing an ebook, I will advise you to use this links table of content, the blue table of contents, right? Click on it, and you see automatically every single thing you have as a menu will come here, which is why your table of contents is usually the last thing you do. Like, that's the very last thing you do. Even after you must have numbered your pages. You number your pages before you do your table of contents. That's why I said it's something I have to get back to. But your table of contents will not automatically appear in the font you've used in your book. So you have to highlight it yourself and then take it to the particular font you want. So this is Times New Roman, this is font 12, and then I'm going to justify it because I want it justified. And then my spacing also, I want to make it bigger. And do I want to remove space before paragraph? Absolutely. Add space after paragraph? Yes, that's because I want it to be very big. So you can see here, excuse me, you can see here that my table of content is done. Let me show you how it's a clickable table of content. All I need to do is to tap on it, and then it shows here. I'm going to click on it and it will take me straight to that page. You can see how amazing it is. I click on it, click on the preface, and it takes me straight to that page. So this is what a clickable table of content will do for you. So I'm going to show you another type of table of content if you're actually going for a print book. If you're writing a book that is printed, you're not writing an ebook, because a clickable table of content cannot work for a printed book. Okay? So let's go back to insert, down to table of contents, and then you have two options, either the plain text or the dotted. Let's choose the dotted and let's see what it looks like. This is exactly what it looks like. So you can see that these dotted lines are here. The font is not in the fonts that you've used for your book, so obviously you have to go back and change it to that particular font. Increase the font size to your desire. Justify it. The line spacing 1.5. I'm going to be removing space before paragraph. And I'm going to be adding space after paragraph. So although I haven't actually numbered my work, but the document is already taking note of the numbering and already automatically numbering this work for me. Okay, so this is how the table of contents should look like if you have a print book. Now, there are also other settings you can decide to do for your table of contents. So you click on these three vertical dots here and you see more options. It's going to ask you how you want to customize your table of contents. Do you want to show the page numbers? Yes, I will advise you to, if you are writing a printed book. What kind of tab do you want? Do you want the dotted lines to be this big, or do you want it to be just a straight line? How do you want it to be? So it all depends on you. Even the space depends on what you want. Now, I also want to ask you for heading levels. Heading levels is what you see here under style. You have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. Heading 1 is usually for the titles of your chapter. So, for instance, you can see chapter 1 here is titled Defining Harmony, right? And it's in heading 1. What you see here under types of harmony is a subtitle, and I use heading 2 for it. So they're going to ask you, how do you want your heading 1 to be? For me, I don't want my heading 1 to be on the same. For me, my heading 1 is fine being on the same line as others. But if you don't want it to be directly on the wall of this table of contents, you can decide to increase it. And then you see how everything moves away from the wall. I don't usually like it this way. I prefer for it to touch the wall of the table of contents, and then I shift my heading 2 a few inches after it. If you have other subtitles under your subtitle, then you can decide to add a heading 3. But currently there is no heading 3, and I also find it unnecessary to include your heading 3 in your table of contents. I feel like it's giving away too much of your book. A heading 1 and heading 2 is perfectly fine with your table of contents. Okay, so now that we are done with the table of content, we'll move to the next page on the preliminary page, which is your forward. And we cannot start a new page on a previous page, so we have to go to another page, right? We cannot start something new on a previous page. So we're going to click on Shift and Enter to start a new page. So yeah, sorry, Control and Enter to start a new page. Or if you don't want to do that, I'm trying to take it back. If you don't want to do that, you can go to Insert, click on Break, Page Break, and then just click on Page Break, and then you start on a fresh, clean page. That is exactly how you ought to start a new page. So I'm going to be pausing this here so that we can take a breather and just digest everything we've learned here, and then we'll come back to the rest. Okay, so please, if you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments and I'll answer your questions.